This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
You are listening to the Smuggler's Galaxy podcast, my favorite podcast to listen to on long flights across the galaxy.
This is the way.
We're wanted men.
I have spoken.
Welcome to episode 226 of the Smuggler's Galaxy podcast, your favorite Star Wars podcast for smugglers in the galaxy. By all calculations, this should be episode 226 because you know it's the holidays and we got to record stuff in weird situations and weird stuff. We're recording it at weird times. So we're recording this like 3 weeks before it comes out, but or 2 weeks before it comes out. I don't know. It's the holidays and I've been drinking. So awesome. Jason. Hey.
Hi.
So your ghost came in, huh?
Yeah, it was great. I love the ghost. I just said to you, we can't talk about timely things because there's no way to.
Well,
really
whenever we do stuff like this, you're always like, "Hey, I just won the lottery! Wow!"
Wow. Yeah, the ghost is great. It's detailed and nicely sculpted. It's a vehicle, which I like vehicles. It's got a big box and it cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny that when a big box gets delivered on your front porch, you go, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll talk about that tomorrow when we record that week's show. But anyway, this is sort of one of our
couple
year
weeks
in.
ago. You've already heard that.
Yeah, I know. This is
For the listeners, they've already heard you talk about it.
already heard us talk about the ghost. Yeah, they're like, "Man, why are y'all talking about the ghost? You just talked about that a week ago, man. What's up with that?" So yes, we're recording this about a week or two ahead of time, so we can just be ready for the holidays because it's the holidays and we're busy. So anywho, this is one of our year-end review shows. We are going to talk about our top pickups, top five. It's really hard to say, I guess, do a top five because we've had a pretty awesome year, haven't we, Jason?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. Like you said, it's been a pretty phenomenal banner year for us, and not in just terms of collecting, but events itself with Rogue Funds. So there's a lot to talk about, lots to cover, but I think we're just going to try to stick to the items. And I just want to preface this. Yes, like it's not all about materials stuff. It's about the people along the way that we meet and the community that we build. It's not about the items. However, there was items we picked up and we have an hour to fill. So you're going to listen to us talk about items, even though they're not important.
But I mean, when we do our moments or whatever, when we get to the other half of this show, we're going to talk about moments. And then there are stuff that, I think we've got in our top five. At least I've got, one or two items that were gifts. So it does, it kind of brings into that, the collecting community, how important that is to what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And why we do what we do is to help support the community.
Absolutely. I mean, I can go first.
Anyway, can you hear my dogs barking?
No. Can you hear my 3D printer printing?
No. It's always weird when I go in that room and I realize how you've got it set up, because you think I see your room and it's in your mind's eye, it's set up totally different than the way it is. Yeah.
I'm trying to do some mental gymnastics there, that's like anybody, like when you're recording, you've got this widescreen camera, so you just kind of assume, or at least I assume when like watching YouTube videos, that the camera's like 4 feet away.
Right.
But then the camera's like 2 feet from their face, And I'm like, wait, this doesn't add up when I see the room that they're recording in. But yeah, I know what you're
Yeah.
getting. I know what you're saying. Like even your room, like you're in the corner, but it makes it feel like you've got this big room behind you. And then when you sit down or you see that room, it's like the computer's just tucked in the corner and it's not that big. It's like 2 feet.
Right. Yeah. It's a normal bedroom. It's probably a 10 by 10 bedroom, which is probably the same set as yours. Because my house, it's funny when you see, not funny, but you look at different houses and you see like our houses are in the 30 years old, but then when you get a house, it's like 20, 5 to 10 years old is built totally different, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
right too.
anyway,
You're
back to
standing
that.
on my
You know
right
what?
toe.
Man, I'm going to close. Hold on a second. They're still, I went and so I feel bad for the people that walk their dogs in front of my house because I leave the windows open because my dogs like looking outside. And then you have this little old lady that's walking her dog and, my dogs are just barking at her. So
Yeah, we just finished the deck. And
yeah,
so like the weather here in Georgia kind of goes in and out from 20 to 60. And on those 60-degree days, there's nothing better than opening the sliding door because it's a screened in deck. So we can just let the fresh air in. And especially with two dogs, the house can smell doggy.
yes,
But now the dogs will go out there and anything they hear, they just start barking and they're little dogs and they yip. And now I have two dogs yipping in the back and they're yip, 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 and they're echoing everywhere. And it's like, I can't, this stinks. I
yeah.
didn't see this coming.
This wasn't on your 2024 bingo card.
No, this wasn't, but
Anywho,
yes. Yeah. So
um, go ahead.
do you want me to start? You want to start?
Yeah, why don't you start, man? Go for it.
So we do this in the Georgia page, the top five, and so I kind of have my five picked out, and I'll go from five to one, say six, because I do have an honorable mention that I want to include.
Yeah.
So I'll start with that. It's a pretty unique piece. It's so Micro Machines, and none of this stuff will be surprise to listeners. Micro Machines used to release single packs, like just one Micro Machine instead of the packs of three, which are pretty common. They would just release one, and this is a TIE fighter with the bubble. It's bubbled, so it's like on a card back and everything, and on the bubble itself, it says Star Wars TIE fighter, but it's been placed on a Star Trek card back.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's a Star Wars item on a Star Trek card back. So that's my honorable mention. It didn't break the top five, but it's something I did want to include.
Awesome.
And
Yes.
yeah, I got it off of eBay for $25, and then a couple weeks later, someone emailed me another one that's on eBay for some obscene amount, like 1,000, 10,000. I think it was $1,000, not 10,000. But I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good with the one that I just picked up for $25.
For 25. That's the best when you pick something up cheap and then you realize how much it really, really is worth. I I'm trying to decide what I'm going to start off with because I've got a pretty insane list. But I'm just going to go ahead. Since we were talking about Rogue Fun and everything at the beginning, I got a piece of art from Stu Kesselman when we were doing the Kennesaw run. And it was totally unexpected. He had stayed up till like 3 a.m, making all the host of the Kennesaw run pictures. And he had given me a Wampa picture, and it was just totally unexpected, totally out of the blue. I had no clue it was coming, and it was just it was a nice touch to the weekend because it was such a hectic weekend, and I don't want, I'm not trying to sound like we're tooting our own horn or whatever, but we are recording. All right, cool. I was like, wait a minute, are we recording? But
How many drinks have you had?
Huh?
How many drinks have you had?
I've only had one, but it's a big, it's
okay.
It's a big one. But it's nice when somebody takes the time and they're like, I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
And it was totally not left, but I was totally not expecting it. And it was a nice cherry on the top of the weekend that somebody would think that much to do that.
He's an incredibly talented artist. And my understanding is he was doing that by phone light in the dark.
Oh, wow.
and it's basically just one pass. It's not like when I would draw, I'd have to like start sketching and then erasing and sketching. And it was just like, let me do the line out. Here's the marker. Done. Next.
Yeah. So
Pretty
yeah, it's a really
talented guy.
cool. It's
And
like it's all one color too. So it's
yeah,
like a white sheet of paper, but then with a magic mark, not a magic marker or Sharpie that he just colored it all in. So I mean, it's just an amazing piece of art that,
yeah,
really cool use of negative space, and it's hanging up on my wall. So yeah,
yeah,
I thought it was awesome.
yeah. Kind of. Yeah, he gave me a Salacious Crumb one, which was again awesome. But just going with that, all the swag that we picked up during Rogue Fun, I put that as my fifth favorite piece that I've picked up, just because the swag thing was off the hook. The swag game was just next level, and it was creative. It was out. It was different. The Tracomi brothers did the whole swag set. We got kazoos, we got patches, we got buttons, and it was phenomenal. And some of my favorite stuff. It's like the tangible stuff that I can take with me, and I have it on the shelf. And every time I look at the TV to watch something, I can just look over and say, I remember that.
Yeah, and my wife really caught the swag bug at Rogue Fun, and really um, understands it now, and gets it. So now it's like whenever we go to an event, she wants to make swag. So it's like, here we are, we're in the swag game. There you go. There's a picture.
There's your swag from Rogue Fun koozies.
So that art of me as a Wampa and her as an Ewok gets all kinds of reiterations, and yeah. So I think it's going to be our swag, or at least part of our swag from here on out.
Yeah.
Those
George,
logos.
George Beza is an incredible artist, so
Yeah.
kudos to him. But yeah, like not including the lunchbox and stuff, just the amount of swag that we picked up, and it was just really cool.
Yeah, swag was definitely this. People brought their A game for swag with at Rogue Fun, which I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting the caliber of swag that we were gonna get.
Yeah.
I guess my number 5 would be my Sabine TIE Fighter from Micro Galaxy Squadron, and yet again, it's another just a really cool story about how I've been hunting it for years, and when it came out with Ross, one of our listeners found 2 of them and messaged me and was like, "Here you go. I found 2. I know you've been looking for it, and I enjoy the show, so this is my thank you gift." So it was just a really cool. There again, another awesome moment. Cost the guy $10, and it made my week.
Yeah.
So that's my number 5 pickup.
Pretty special. My number 4 was a pickup from Rogue Fun room sales. Paul from Arizona was selling Micro Machine sketches, and they're the sketches that Earl McCarthy would do and then give them to the sculptor. The sculptor would take them and make little sculpts based on these drawings. And so I got one from the expanded universe with Leia holding a lightsaber, and then 2 with her Bespin gear. One she's kind of walking, and the other one she's running, and she's kind of turning back with the blaster. So anytime I find Micro Machine art, I just snag that up because I know how much that's worth for other toy lines, and I want to make sure I get them before the prices for Micro Machines start to skyrocket, because right now it's affordable, but someday it could be thousands of dollars, maybe. Who knows?
I thought I had like a bunch listed, but now I don't. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I think all the new Rebel, did all the Rebel stuff come out this year, or was it last year? Because I wrote it down and now I can't remember.
Which
like
Rebel
all
stuff?
the Ahsoka swag and the art and the toys, like the Black Series and the retro line, and was
I think
that late last year, early this year, or
I don't
some of it
remember.
come out this year?
Some of it did to Ross, so I mean it's still in toy shelves.
Right.
It's got to come out this year, maybe,
I
using
don't
that
know.
rationale.
Yeah, let's just use that rationale that I loved all the swag, that all the stuff that came out for Rebels, all like the figures, and finally Rebels is getting their due. after 10
Yeah.
years. So there you go. Rebel
Yeah,
stuff.
I think there's a vocal crowd that says I don't really care about the animated series and stuff like that, but there's also another crowd of Star Wars fans who absolutely adore Star Wars Rebels and the Clone Wars. And I don't know if it's just that they're quiet or what, but there are a lot of Star Wars Rebels fans out there.
Yeah. And it does surprise me not surprise me. It's nice to see people giving it, oh, I love Rebels. And it's like, well, where have you been? Why, but yeah, Rebels is my Star Wars. It's my jam.
That's my jam.
Yep.
Um, burp.
Oh, what are you drinking, Jason?
That's Diet Coke. Did that come through?
I heard it.
Oh man, I was hoping the Zoom would cancel the noise cancellation stuff, but no, that was a Diet Coke burp. I apologize. That was rude. I'm so sorry. But yeah, my number 3. So, and I love this story. Somebody had listed on eBay for about $350 a prototype for Micro Machines. It was a mock-up.
Uh-huh.
I think it was Battle Pack number 15 or something like that. It's an Endor set with the Force Ghost of Obi-Wan, Anakin, Yoda, Luke, Leia, and Han, Chewbacca, and then an Ewok with the drum set with the 3 stormtroopers.
Uh-huh.
They're just minifigures, and it's mocked up on a Micro Machine card back. It's got race cars on it. It's upside down, and he wanted $350 for it. So I was watching it, and then I saw the price drop to like $200, and then $150, and then at that point I made him an offer for like $75 or something like that. My memory's a little sketchy, and he declined that. And then the next day he listed it as just a regular auction on eBay, and I was able to pick it up for like $42. It's probably the best prototype I've ever bought because of that price. But yeah, it's a real prototype. It's a mock-up, and I have that on display in the case. So very excited that I was able to pick up that this year.
Awesome. You know what? Sticking with the well, no, this is more Micro Galaxy Squadron stuff, but you were speaking of just normal stuff. But for my birthday this year, you gave me a Ghost first shot from the Micro Galaxy Squadron. So I got to list that.
Yep.
As what we're on 4.
Are we 4?
So,
That was my 3. I'm on 2 already.
Okay, well then I don't know that. No,
That's
that is my
fine.
number 3. That's my number 3.
It is.
Yes.
Okay.
So
We can
that was
math.
a pretty cool gift.
Yeah, we can math. We can figure
Yes.
this out. My number 2 and my number 1 kind of go hand in hand, so I had to pick one over the other. Which one was my favorite? But I got a first shot, the prototype. It's unproduced, so it could even be like just a couple that they've made in production. But it's the Jedi Starfighter from Action Fleet. It was supposed to come out during the episode 2 stuff, but they canceled all of the Micro Machines and the Action Fleet right after episode 2, so they never really came past that line at that point. It was on the Saga Collection card back. And then there were boxed items, but they kind of fit in with that Saga Collection aesthetic. But yeah, the Jedi Starfighter was never released. I was able to pick up one of those. It does come with a broken landing gear, but I keep the landing gear kind of tucked up underneath the ship, so you never even see it that it's broken. And yeah, it's out there as one of my favorite things.
Awesome.
For 2024. In conclusion, that's my number 2.
Your number 2. So here is my number 2, and it is right there above my head. It is the concept art from the Christian Wagner Sabine print that he did. Sometimes he'll draw up like a concept. So when he's trying to sketch it out before he puts it on, canvas, he'll do a pencil sketch, pencil and marker sketch.
Yeah.
And he had contacted me and asked me if I wanted to buy it. So I bought it and got it framed up real nice. And I for the longest time, I was kind of trying to hide it before he released it, because he's like, don't share it till it gets released. So it was kind of hiding in plain sight. And then once he released his other prints of Sabine and the mural art, I'm able to share it. So there it is.
Yeah.
That's my number 2. If you ever see my house, if you're watching us on video, there's 5 Christian pieces behind my head. I've got one right here. I've got one right there. I've got one in my hallway. I've got one. So I think I've got probably a dozen
Yeah.
Christian pieces in my house. So I love his art, and every time he comes out with something new, it's just where am I going to find room? But yeah.
So for those that are listening and not watching video, what does that piece look like?
It is the scene from Ahsoka when she comes down the hallway and sees Ahsoka battling all the zombie troopers or death troopers or whatever
Night
they call
troopers.
them. So night troopers, and it's Christian. I don't know if you guys aren't familiar with this stuff, you need to look it up. But what he'll do is he'll paint a really, really tight shot of a character, and then in the visor or in their eyes, he'll paint a reflection. So it's called the reflection series. So you've got a really awesome tight shot of Sabine and that helmet, and in her T visor is Ahsoka with her back to you, and all the zombie troopers, night troopers, are facing her, and she's deflecting blaster bolts with her lightsabers. Got both lightsabers drawn, and it's like Sabine's getting ready to jump in there and save the day.
Yeah.
I've got one here. I've got a big print of it here, and I actually have a piece of that Natasha signed, and when she saw it, she was just like, wow, that's awesome. So she took a picture of it. And did you see the totally left turn real quick? Did you see the badge art for Celebration this year?
Yes.
That's Sabine. I gotta find it. That is an amazing. It's Sabine, a Japanese inspired picture of Sabine, and I'm just like, oh my God, where can I find this? So I've got to find a piece of art. So if anybody's in Japan or knows where to find that piece, which it probably won't come out till Celebration Japan, if it even makes it to the general public, or if somebody has a badge that they're not going to use, send it my way, please.
I'm sure they'll be on eBay too.
Yeah. You think the badge will?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure if you can't get it that way, that'll be on eBay at some point, or someone will be selling them later on.
Yeah, so that
where there's a will, there's a way with this one. It's not like it's going to be a prototype Phantom Galactic Heroes thing.
Yes, I don't think this one will be that hard to find, but that and she actually shared it on her Instagram, so I think it's just an amazing piece of Japanese inspired Sabine art.
Yeah. So in the early 2000s, I got my first iPhone. I was really excited. So I went on Amazon and I typed Star Wars iPhone cases. And this one came up with Boba Fett looking on Han and Carbonite. I said, that's pretty cool. So I picked that up, and that was my first iPhone case, a pirated Christian Wagner iPhone case.
Yes.
I'm sure that came from China. I'm sure he got 0 royalties for the purchase of that iPhone case. So I apologize for that. I didn't realize at the time what I was doing or who it was, or I just assumed that maybe the artist was doing that.
Yeah, no, that was the first piece I saw 15 plus years ago. Was that one? And
about that time when I got that iPhone.
Yeah. And it was sort of when I was in a really, I had just gone through like my second divorce, and living in a crappy apartment, and that sort of brought me back to Star Wars, that piece of art. I was, and I can pretty much attest that piece of art to a lot of positivity, to basically where I'm at now. I mean, it was sort of the cornerstone, of turning my life around.
Building a Star Wars life, and that's what you did. The cornerstone is Christian Wagner.
Exactly. So
there's a lot of weight on his back right now, and he'd appreciate it if you would dismantle it and find another cornerstone.
It's that piece, which I have one. I got a piece from him of that art a few years ago. So
yeah, I forgot. Like, I got that shag art. That's pretty fantabulous.
Mm-hmm.
That should be an honorable mention. I mean, the Sabine tie would be an honorable mention. I got both the international and the US version. That's I know. Fingers up. I'm sorry. Fingers out as I say that. Hold on. I've got the international and the regular version. But those are honorable mentions. I can forget that.
Yeah, it's such a cool. That ship is such a cool ship.
And this mask, the Motorhead mask, I completely forgot about that. That was something that I wanted to get for. I knew it existed. I was putting on this exhibition for Rogue Fun about Dr. Ezevan and Snaggletooth, and this just shows up at Toylanta at a price which I'm like, yes, I have to. Come to find out that it's probably worth a little bit more than what I paid for it.
Yeah. Well, you tried getting the other one, and he's just yeah.
Well, I made my own. Forget that. I don't
Oh,
know
look at that.
Snaggletooth right there. I 3D printed a Snaggletooth head, but I do have a Kenner version of Walrus Man on my shelf here. So of the Kenner version too.
Yeah. We were joking. Me and somebody else, maybe me and Tony or me. It was either me and Tony or me and Chance about how we needed to go take selfies with all your mask at Road Fun. I mean, at your Christmas party.
Yeah.
The Christmas party.
But when we go down to number one here, taking the cake is my Action Fleet unproduced Star Destroyer, which I think is some sort of hard copy. It's got to be an early sculpt because I know that there was photos at Toy Fair where the thing folds up, and so you can see the inside of the Star Destroyer, and you come with a little Imperial officer. This doesn't do that, but it's definitely an Action Fleet piece. It matches what those photos did. It's just the functionality is not there. So this is almost like an early version of like, here's the sculpt. Let's make another version where we can open it up. And
yeah, you've been knocking it out the park with the Action Fleet stuff the last couple of years.
Nobody wants it, so I just pick it up. It's my jam, and it's easy now. Where if I'm at room sales and there's nothing there that's not Action Fleet, Galoob, or Micro Machines, I'm like, oh, that's cool, but I don't really need it. It's helped me self-regulate because before during COVID, it's like, yeah, I'll start that run of Black Series Han Solos. Yeah, I'll buy that Rebels carded sample, sure. But now I can really focus in.
Exactly. That's sort of what I've been doing with the Wampa stuff, and I try to be a little bit more focused with my stuff, and it makes things a little bit more fun, and it makes things a lot more aggravating, and but it also, you're not blowing $200 every time you go to a toy show. If you go with a plan, right. Sometimes you go with, I just got $200 in my pocket, I'm going to blow it, and then you walk away with something, and you're like, why did I buy this a year later? And then you lose money on it. So it's not that bad to have a plan or have a focus.
So what's your number one?
My number one is actually, it's a lot of stuff, but it all falls into one category. Because
so
I didn't want to put,
your number one is a category.
Yes, it's all one category. I could have made a top 5 just of this purchase.
Yeah.
But it's all the Bill and Ted prototypes that I was able to pick up this year.
Yeah. Kenner and modern.
Yes, they're all. Yes, so I was only able to pick up one vintage piece, which me and another guy, we kind of talk to each other. So when he gets a piece that he doesn't want, or when he's makes, we'll communicate a lot. So I was able to pick up a vintage First Shot of Death from him a couple of months ago that I'd been making payments on, and he had been waiting for it to come in. So by the time I had paid it off, it was like another month I got it. But I didn't have a sculpt of Death because the hard copy of Death is probably non-existent. So I was able to pick that up. I picked up prototype pops of Bill and Ted, for God's sakes. I had Matt from Nerd U messaged me out the blue, hey, I've got these prototype pops. And I'm like,
I can't say no, but I want, my mind's telling me no, but my body's telling me yes.
Exactly. It was that bad with those. I was like, doggone it, I don't want them, but what am I going to do? If I turn them down, I'm never going to see them again. So it was a prototype of Bill and Ted from the Pop line. And then I also, Toy Fizz, is it Toy Fizz or Fizz Toys or Toy Fizz Biz or it's a modern line. It looks like Toy Biz
stuff.
Huh?
Careful where you go with the Fizz Biz.
It looks like Toy Biz, but it's not. It's called Toy Fizz or Fizz Toys or something. But they did a modern line of Bill and Ted toys, and I'd found them all on eBay and bought them all at staggering different times. But I was able to pick up, and these are all 3D hard copy, First Shot hand painted stuff. And I've even talked to our buddy Rich when we were hanging out with him last weekend, and he's like, I don't know what there. It's a whole new ball game with the new stuff.
Yeah.
They're not hard copies. They're not first shots. They're 3D printed resin prints. That's the best he could give me. So I'm gonna say they're 3D printed resin prints.
I need to look at them because they have to be resin, but resin prints typically don't have layer lines.
Okay.
They're so good now, but they won't have them. But I can't imagine somebody in China ripping that off and printing it because the quality of stuff, the quality to print an action figure like that needs to be really, really tight, and it's not easy to do. And then to get the paint, because I did see photos of the paint,
Yeah.
and that looks legit.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
that's
ahead.
not a hobbyist doing that. That looks like
No,
it's a corporate entity.
now the Bill and the Ted, you don't see. I maybe if I look hard, I can find the layer lines, but the Death, you could see layer lines. But I'm also maybe imagining it a little bit. But
I
I
need to
need,
take a look.
huh?
I need to look at that.
I need you to look at him, and I need Ryan to look at him because I love when Ryan comes over and I pull up all my Bill and Ted. I pull out all this stuff, and just to see him, Ryan look at him with a sculptor's eyes and a sculptor's mentality.
Yeah.
He always is finding stuff, and he's always making me appreciate him more because he's like, just you could see the tool marks, and look, you could see this, and look, you could see that, and he's finding stuff that he missed and letting me appreciate it even more. But as far as like if I look at the Bill and the Ted and the Death and not the Death and the phone booth, I don't see any lines. But then when I look at Death, because I think it's all like smooth, you can see it. But I may be imagining it. But yeah, I mean, if you're more than welcome to come over and look at them anytime, or next time you're here, we'll be like, come look at these so you can see them.
It's got to be
Um,
pretty awesome to make toys today because back then you have to sculpt it, make a hard copy, send it off, get it scanned so they can do the shavings, the metal shavings to get the first mold and that takes weeks. But now someone with ZBrush can sketch out their own action figure and then have it printed within 48 hours.
yeah,
You can do all that all at once. It's not a week-long process now. And even with 3D printing, with PLA, which is the one where they go through and they print one layer at a time, it's not like resin, which is more fluid. I mean, it is fluid, so you're using liquid to print from. But with these layer lines, like I don't know, you can get multicolor with the layers now. You can't do that with resin yet, but you can with this, and it's pretty fabulous what they can do. Like I saw someone printing, this isn't a real one, but like the Olga's Cantina,
yeah,
like they were able to print the three colors and make their own plastic coasters.
that's awesome.
And it's all there's no painting involved. It's all in color. So I mean, I just imagine 3D printing is just taking over so the industry.
Yeah, well, we years ago they showed something on one of the Disney documentaries on Disney Plus where they were showing them printing uh the figures. I don't remember what it was, but it may have been a Boba. It was in like a weird spot. It may have actually been like a Boba Fett uh blog, not blog, but short they had done, and they showed them printing 3D printing all the art, or, all the stuff, and they were like, yeah, some dude upstairs just sent this down to the printer, and
Yeah.
we're printing it, and we're gonna put it together and paint it, and this will be our hard copy or our test shot or whatever.
Which makes me think someday the toy industry will just be printing your toys.
Hey,
Because I think it's becoming so niche and collectors are leaving and young audience is not picking up the toys like they used to in droves. Like even the toy aisles are getting smaller and toys hang out for a long time, which suggests to me that they're not selling through and kids aren't interested. But I do see the day where it's like, I want to play with this. Okay, let me print you one. And then within an hour, you have an action figure that you can play with.
yeah. The only complaint or only thing I'd fear is all three of those, because I've got a Bill and a Ted and a Death, and they are all very fragile. They've all got like the arm joints have broken, the hand joints have broken. So
Yeah.
that would be my only fear. But I mean, hey, in 20 years, who's to say that you don't just call up Hasbro or go to a Hasbro website and I want this figure, and they send it to your 3D printer. I mean, It's blowing my mind. I just bought a PS5 and there's no CDs. You just buy them online. You buy the
Yeah.
games online, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what's the point? You know, you're in GameStop and you're like, oh, this is why GameStop has no more games.
Yeah, and we're in the dawn of like AI and supercomputing, so I'm sure at some point someone will ask a supercomputer, give me a molecular formula for like a resin plastic,
Mhm.
and then we're 3D printing plastic
Wow.
or something like that. That's just complete speculation, and that might be like 25, 30, even maybe never.
Mhm.
I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, so to even make it weirder, do you remember like the Jetsons? I remember watching the Jetsons, and the boss had sent George tickets to a game the night of the game, and he like used the fax machine to send them over to him, and it's like that's like common knowledge nowadays. That's
Yeah.
like that's old technology nowadays.
Remember in the 90s when we had watched X-Files and people thought we were crazy because we believed in aliens, and now they're coming out that they're actual real aliens in a craft recovery project going on in the government. Remember that?
Yeah, all those drones.
I don't. That never happened to me. But yeah, your Bill and Ted was your number one there, so
Yeah,
I thought we could wrap up another part of 2024. So we started off with we came
our
up with
bingo card.
our bingo card. We came up with 25 different ideas of what could possibly happen from left field for Star Wars, and we can go through that. Number one was that Lando would start filming, and at the time we thought that was going to be a TV series. Come to find out that they're working on a movie script, so fingers crossed that will happen.
Now,
And
now,
as
does the fact that Jude Law wears a shirt that looks awful lot like Lando in Skeleton Crew count?
No, it doesn't count. I think they looked at Star Wars and they said, who's the most suave, who would be more piratey? And they looked at Lando and was like, yep, that right there must be what the cool guys wear. So they threw that on Jude,
Right.
John Nodwood.
Right. And I like the fact that it's just a subtle nod. It's not like, hey, he's wearing Lando's shirt, not like it was in Empire Strikes Back when Lando's wearing Han stuff.
Right. But the news this year was that it's no longer a TV series, it's a movie, and that Lando, Donald and his brother are working on the script. Well, I mean, he is Lando, so Lando's working on a script for his life. Hello there. What do we have
Hello
here?
there. What do we have here?
The next square, like, so I guess we need to come up with rules for 2025 as we do this. Can we carry over squares, or do we carry over one square each?
I guess we can look at it
Um,
because we would carry over the Lando thing because it's getting closer.
but that's the
I
other
don't know.
thing. Like, these are things that are never supposed to happen.
Right. Well, then
And
let's just make up all new ones. I guess I got to work
Okay.
on something else now.
The Retro HasLab. So there would be some sort of HasLab announced where it's part of the retro collection. I only foresee them doing like the vintage collection right now.
Mhm.
I don't know if they would. I don't know if they'll ever go back to Black Series because that's just been a colossal failure for them. They keep getting black eyes whenever they do the Black Series, and the Black Series is more figure based. It's not as role playing or creature or environmental based.
Right.
But I could see them going back and doing like an X-Wing. Or maybe they go and say, here's a retro Biggs, and here's a retro Biggs X-Wing.
Yeah, I kind of get the feeling that they may be adding on to stuff because what Steve just said with the retro line that I just have a feeling that before long, before the cantina's out, there will be retro figures to fit in that cantina or right when it comes out. That I don't think Hasbro's ready to. I think Hasbro's going to support that cantina for a long time.
So maybe that's on your 2025 bingo card is a retro Cantina set.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. This one was definitely you, and I definitely told you at the time it wasn't going to happen. I get a Star Wars tattoo.
Yeah, I should have said it was me because I got 2 Star Wars tattoos this year.
That's not out of left field, though. That's expected, and I expect you to get another one in 2025 and 2026.
Yeah, probably.
So that one shouldn't be even part of this.
It was left field, and I just wanted to see your reaction.
It was a disappointment was my reaction. Like, really? You're gonna waste it? The Mandalorian will be filmed at Disneyland, and I haven't seen any reports that that's happening. Basically, a scene of the Mandalorian will be filmed at Batuu during the night.
Yeah.
That was my thinking.
And we still, like you said, we still haven't seen it. So maybe it happened.
Maybe it happened and they just kept things under wraps, but as far as I know, it didn't. So that stinks. I'm still waiting for Batuu to come swinging into into canon in a big way, like on TV or in a movie or something. So
I mean, they keep making hints about it being canon. I know that really crappy cartoon Resistance had a nod to Batu in it. So
yeah,
they keep hinting.
Narayan gave me a book for Christmas. It was Dawn of the Rebellion. They
Uh-huh.
talk about Andor, Kenobi, a little bit of Rebels, a little bit of Solo, but it's just all that sweet spot between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, all that stuff. And they do have a map of all the planetary systems, and I didn't realize Batuu was in the unknown region
Yeah.
where Exegol is and where there's another planet. It's escaping my mind. I didn't realize that
At Addon?
at Atlanta.
I did. It was on the out because they said it in the book. That was basically just a 200-page advertisement for Batu. That it was in the outskirts.
Yeah, that was another thing that happened this year. The author of that, went to a local bookstore and I got her to sign my Black Spire book.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's awesome. Well, that could be in
And
your memories, man.
it could be,
But
but it's too late.
we hadn't done the memories one yet.
No, we haven't. I got to write that down.
Write it down before you forget, Jason, because it is fun. Because we will talk about, I'll be like, oh yeah, Rogue Fun was this year. I was like, holy smokes, it was this year.
Yeah. But anyways, moving on. George Lucas comes back to direct Star Wars. I know he's out there and he's still consuming media because when he saw Wicked, he called was it Justin Lin? Please tell me. No, I don't think that's him. The director. He called the director and gloated about the movie and how much he loved it and how much it was like pure cinema. And so I know he's still consuming things and he's out there, but whether or not he comes back to write or direct for Star Wars, I just don't see that happening.
Right.
John Chu, I'm sorry. It's John Chu, director of Crazy Rich Asians. Retro collection Snaggletooth, Blue Snaggletooth will be announced.
I think that's one we need to carry over. Maybe not, but
I feel like that's getting closer to probably happening.
right.
So I don't know if that's one we carry over, but that didn't happen. Price reduction for Hasbro action figures. That hasn't happened. Black Series, $40, no extras. And I think we were just saying regular
Right.
Black Series. That didn't happen. Hasbro will lose the Star Wars license, which is interesting. Oh, my life just turned on. Christmas Day.
Yeah. The
Which is
timer went off.
Yeah, the timer went on. It's like the part in Home Alone where the wet bandits are sitting there and okay, 422, it's time for that one. Bing. 452, it's time for that one. Bing. All the house lights come on. Hasbro will lose the Star Wars license. And it's been interesting because this year there was talk about Hasbro trying to give up or considering to give up the license, which I think is more of a strategic negotiation tactic, saying to small channels on YouTube or podcasts or blogs that were interested in getting rid of the license. So that story starts to go around, and when they go to the negotiation table, Lucasfilm already feels like it's a losing battle. Like
Right.
they're ready to pull out, so we need to give them some concessions.
Yeah,
Moving
no,
on.
I do. Yeah, I think you're right. It's all negotiation, and I don't know. I want them to be able to do some cool toys. Damn it.
The next one was the return of Mace Windu, which towards the end of the year, there was some talk about him coming back
Right.
and that he was interested in coming back. So he didn't come back in 2024. There's no new projects announced. but I do feel like this one might be closer to possibility than Jason getting a Star Wars tattoo.
It is funny how stuff will catch momentum, because it felt like Mace Windu was getting ready to make a comeback at the end of the year, or at
Yeah.
least there was fan theories and fan posters, and people were making fan art is the word I was looking for
Yeah.
a Mace Windu return.
New Disney Plus series announced. We got that. So that was one we were able to X off because there was it Tales of the Jedi season 2?
Sure.
I think that's what it was. It came out of left field. It wasn't something they announced in advance. It was like coming May 4th, we're dropping new episodes.
Right, and that was the Ahsoka one, right? Ahsoka
Yep.
and Count Dooku.
Sabine gets a spin-off. I'm not sure where that one came from.
Who would talk about Sabine?
John Williams returns to Star Wars. As much as I would love that to happen, it doesn't seem like it will. Luke and Leia will be recast for Mando series. Nothing was announced, but we did get the bear as the Hutt. So, I mean, there's a possibility if they're bringing back the Hutts, and maybe they'll bring back Luke and Leia.
Right. I think we might have,
Go ahead.
I think we might have been ahead of the curve on some of these.
Yeah, maybe we're a couple of years. Maybe I'll hold on to this, and we'll check back at the end of 2025 to see if any of them come to fruition.
Could you imagine we make a bingo because we're just a year early?
Yeah, it won't count, but I'll X this off. It won't count because it was not from the same year, but I do think that there's a chance that Luke and Leia will be recast, especially if they're doing some sort of Heir to the Empire, trying to bring all the characters back together on Leia, Luke. Then they have to do something. They can't use CGI or AI or.
No, it's getting so bad that, not bad, but it looks bad. They're gonna have to.
Galaxy's Edge ride announced. That didn't happen. Unfortunately, we had D23 and there was a bunch of expansions. Hollywood Studios, with the exception of Monsters Inc., it's kind of quiet. So I don't think they're going to be adding on to any of the new lands. They're just going to be expanding and changing old ones. Wilra Hood will make an appearance in Star Wars content. If only we put Teak there, we would have nailed that.
Yeah.
But I do think it's Teak's, like we had mentioned a couple episodes, Teak's species, not Teak himself.
Right.
Disney Plus movie announced. That one hasn't happened. This one was kind of disappointing because I was for sure that if any of these were to happen, it would have been this one. The Star Cruiser, what they plan on doing with that would be announced at D23, because right now it's just been sitting there since October of 23.
Yeah.
And so it's almost a year and a quarter.
Wow.
And it's just been sitting there.
Yeah, that there was the running joke that everybody was like, "Hey, you got a building, an empty building. You could put a lot of people's offices in and save Muppets Courtyard."
Yeah, but it's like I said, and they were teasing back at the time that they were closing it that we've got great plans for it, which maybe they don't have good plans. Maybe it was just all BS they made up.
Right. I mean, are they still trying to get the tax write-off on it?
I mean, yeah, the whole thing is a tax write-off, but which part was the tax write-off? Because you can write off you can get granular. You can write off the programming or the software research and development. You can write off the development of actors and the whole stage aspect of things. So you can also write off building the structure itself, but you plan on using that building, you have to gut it and try something else, but you can write off the building.
Yeah. I think there's so much construction getting ready to happen at Disney that's the last thing they want to worry about is dealing with the building that they've considered dead.
Retro Collection X-Wing is announced. There's been no vehicles, and it's just been a slow roll when it comes to action figures, Retro Collection.
Yeah.
Oh, here's one. The Tonica Sisters come to TVC. That one came out of left field with the Cantina. When they announced the Cantina, I'm like, please be Tonica Sisters. Please be Tonica Sisters.
Boom. Here's the Tonica Sisters.
Not because I wanted it, but because of our bingo card.
Right. Sure.
Galaxy's Edge restaurant announced. I mean, the the whole plan of Olga's was that would be the front end of a restaurant, and you would walk through it and get to the restaurant on the back end.
Yeah.
So I'm quietly hoping that they go ahead and do that, because there's a common phrase like in Imagineering that no bad idea ever dies.
Right.
I mean, it's like no for now. Like the Monsters Inc. roller coaster, that thing was supposed to happen 20 years ago, and it's still like it's just about to happen. So I'm hoping that they do the same with the restaurant.
If they would have just given us a tenth of what they promised us in Galaxy's Edge, or half of what they promised us in Galaxy's Edge, they wouldn't have needed to do the Star Cruiser, and maybe they'd have a more successful park.
3 spaces left. Farm Boy Luke comes to TBC, even though he's coming in 2025. He was announced in 2024, so I'm gonna X that one out.
That counts.
That counts. Micro Galaxy Squadron will end at Series 5. We're now just getting Series 7 on the store shelves.
Yeah. Oh well.
And then,
I thought they'd bumble that so bad that they'd have no choice.
Black Series will hit $40 with extras. So I was thinking regular Black Series, not the deluxe, which is about $33 right now.
Yeah.
The regular version's what, 26? I'm gonna pull it up real quick.
A Black Series, yeah, they're in the 25 range.
It's about, yeah, it depends on where you. I clicked on the wrong thing, and now I clicked on the wrong thing again. Brands, Star Wars Black Series. Okay, sorry. We're there.
Doggone it, Jason.
That's bad. That's Kelnaka. So it's $24.99. That's the price of a regular Black Series figure.
Mm-hmm.
Not $40.
Sorry.
But that's our 2024 bingo card. Next time we'll do 2025. We'll figure out that. So you got to come up with like 13. You come up with 13. I'll come up with 12 ideas, or come up with an extra one, and we'll figure out which one's the best. And
Okay.
we'll both do 13, and then for that last one, we'll flip a coin and figure out which one we like better, and we'll put that one down.
Cool. We'll do that.
And with that, thank you for listening. You have anything else? I forgot to ask.
I know. I don't think so. I think we're good, man.
Thank you for listening to the Smugglers Galaxy podcast. If you could, please leave a like and a 5-star review. It's a Friday. I'm tired.
Take 2.
Take 2. Thank you for listening to the Smugglers Galaxy podcast. If you could, please leave a like and a 5-star review of the show anywhere you listen to podcasts. It really helps us out and points people to our show. You can follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Send us an email or message us. We'd love feedback. We'd love to make you part of our show. Our email address is smugglergalaxy@gmail.com. Thank you to Alfonso Riviera for the... I took in too much air. Thank you to Alfonso Riviera for the Smugglers Galaxy logo, and to Levi Waterhouse for the music. People, collect for the love of it. Hashtag vote with your wallet. I don't know. Who's going to be on next week?
I don't know. Machu Picchu.
Machu Picchu. That's not even a character. Machu Picchu will be visited next week. Pass on what you've learned. Be a positive force in the collecting community.
This is the way.